The flow. Uh, I'm just going to talk about the flow of God. This morning I got up a little bit, right around 7, but at 7:21, this wonderful fountain. And if you were to see the video that I made earlier of it, there was a calm pond here, and in that calm pond was ever so slightly some waves affected by the morning's breeze. The sun, before the sun is up, like the sun comes up, right? Before we rotate to where the sun is easily visible, there's no waves. But as the sun comes up and the radiation moves the air, I know science lesson, right? And the air hits the pond and there's slight waves coming up. You can see. But at 7:21, as programmed by the folks who are taking care of the pond, as that time pops up, suddenly the fountain starts. And as it starts, the water comes up. It's beautiful. It's glorious. As the sun hits it, it's really nice. As the sun hits it at a certain angle, we even get a rainbow effect that's really beautiful. And then as the sun goes down and it starts to get dark, there's a light in the fountain that causes it to be glowing or glorious, same root word, and it causes it to be beautiful until 10:21 at night, in which case it goes off intentionally at 10:21. So what? There's a flow that God causes to be in us that He turns on, that's constantly available, but we can turn it off if we want to. And that flow is His glory, His character, His power, His magnificence, and we have a lot to do with that. I can come out on the back porch and observe it, or I can ignore it. I can take a vehicle and move away from it. But I have this available to me most of my waking hours, unless I get up before 7:21 or I'm up after 10:21. And then in which case, mine as to whether or not I watch the fountain or take advantage of its effects. As you look at the water after the fountain starts, guess what happens to the pond itself? There's effects from the breeze caused by the fountain and by the water from the fountain hitting the pond, the other water. And there's more waves, more effects, if you would, a ripple effect. This weekend I got to spend some time with a friend that I've had for 50 some odd years at our 50-year reunion. And his claim to fame is he's either the world's leading or one of the world's leading chaotic physicists. Chaos, as I asked him a number of decades ago, what is it? He said, it's the things without patterns, and physics is dealing with the patterns in things. So I said, so your job is, and he says, to add patterns to things that don't have patterns to cause them to have a desired pattern. So his job at the time was he was developing a new isotope and predicting Saddam Hussein's next move. You gotta be kidding me. This is a guy I grew up with. Yeah, that's how I made it through. I stayed behind his fumes all the time and kind of rode on his coattails, if you want to say that, or his glory. And he saved me a ton of times from probably making a ton of bad choices. I didn't necessarily do real good after he went a different direction, to a different location. But he was at Oxford. I guess he gets the credibility for that. For those who don't know about Oxford, Oxford is usually the leading trains of thought in the world, not just science, but anywhere from theology to creative arts to governmental thinking, so on like that. He said one of his biggest thrills in life was to have dozens of people that were under him communicating with him, even from different fields, as they shared with one another, to be affecting the world's thinking. Now, that can, you can take that wherever you want. But as he's gone on to a different college now, from England to America, that college isn't that much for that kind of thinking. Americans, as he says, kind of stay to themselves in their own cubicles and do their own research and their own thing, whereas in England, from one subject to another, or other colleagues in the same deal, in the same subject, we're affecting one another. So why do I share that? Is because his book I tried to read is so deep. Started with, I think, the butterfly effect, or dealing with ripples, like we talked about here in this fountain. As you look at the fountain and you see pond now, I don't know if you can see the waves that are caused by the pond, but the not by the pond, by the fountain, but the life deals with the glory of God. Some people say they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so it's important for us to receive the ripples from God, to be under the spout where God's glory comes out, if you would, and to love God with all your being, your heart, soul, mind. And to love God doesn't mean to know you have a God. Like, I know I have a neighbor, and I can actually like the neighbor, but unless I go over there and pull their trash cans in when they're not here, their recycle bins, they don't really get any glory or any interaction with us in a manner to show that love. The two big commandments: love God with everything you have, and then love your neighbors. I'm not sure you can really do as effective a job as possible on number 2 with your neighbors, unless you're pretty decent at number 1. Cool part about loving God is that it's Him flowing into you. Here we go with the flow again. Flow is like glow. Maybe I'll write a song called The Glow Flow, and I'll film it with a GoPro. No. Anyway, sorry, that's a silly daddy thing. The glory of God is what we're talking about today, the flow. How do you stay under the spout where God's glory comes out? That's been a major concern for me for a long time, and I'll let you know. It's in my book, Linking Moments, available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, or you can just call me and I'll give you one. But there's chapter 12, which features 9, not the 9, but for me, maybe the big 9 things that I can do to hear from God. And they're simple as reading the Bible and talking with neighbors, accountability, authorities in your life, and community or small groups or accountability partners, that kind of thing. So it also deals with a posture like, are you fasted? Fasting could mean food, and it usually does, but it could mean TV shows. It could mean put the phone down. Comer says we touched the phone 2,617 times in his book, Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. In other words, finding time and being intentional about being alone with God. I got a back porch. I got a schedule it's called retirement. And though I teach a few lessons a day, there's most of the day is available to either receive God's love or to pass it on to others. To be the receiver of God's glory, or a spout to let it out. Cool thing about God's glory is when it comes in through you, it stays deposited in you. Like music education for me was, I learned more about music and education while I was teaching it, so that I could both enjoy music and then allow others to enjoy music. Education is just one of the things you can give away and still keep at the same time. If you have a product or a service that you give away, you don't keep it. You give that time and that material good to somebody else. But for us as educators, we can enjoy music even with our students, and enjoy music when we're not with them and while they still enjoy it down the road. We have some that are professional musicians. We have one that's I think it's Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra. She is a French horn player. We have another one that's a drum major for a professional marching band, Madison Scouts. So how proud are we? I have a number of them that are in college, playing LSU and Notre Dame and various places like that, UF. Uh, so how proud are we of our students that have gone on to continue in music? We don't see them anymore, except for when they call or send us invitations to concerts in far-off lands. But we know that they have received the glory, so to speak, of music from us, yet we can play in ensembles here, or for fun. I can go express myself on the piano. My wife can play in a professional group that she's in. What about the glory of God? The glory of God comes to us and through us. And the to us part may be the more important part today, because if you don't have it, you can't. My neighbor that's into real estate purchasing goes to a piano, starts to play, and makes horrible sounds, and then a student comes in, sits next to them, and says, "Teach me." Can they really teach? No, because they don't have that flow going through them. Same thing here. How can I express God's glory unless I receive it? And the best posture to have for receiving it is make it continual. And the best way for making it continual is just having one moment, sitting under the spout where the glory comes out, to where the flow is just, I can see the fountain. Come thou fount of every blessing, right? For you guys that are hymn people, take a look at the fountain. If that represents God's glory coming out, you can look at it or you can turn away from it. You can be close to it and notice the effects, or ignore them. God is present with you. If you look at Psalm 139, he says, "Where can I go? Flee from your presence. Wherever I go, you're there. Wherever I would be, you're there." Not only that, but he knows every move you make and thought you have before you have them, written them in a book of life, of your life. And he has more thoughts of you than there are grains of sand. If I just look at a handful of sand, how many grains are in there? And then count them from the parking lot to the ocean in a straight line. And then start counting them up this beach and the next beach and melt the polar ice caps and count all those grains of sand. He has more thoughts of you than that. And his thoughts are toward you. They're not just to note what you do. They're to be involved. That's a long time to be involved with God. But he only asks for you to be really aware of this one moment. And then you can go to the next. Again, linking moments, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. By the way, these videos on Facebook are up for 30 days. If you are interested in hearing the same messages or the same kind of messages, they're on YouTube at Journey to Know God with Ken Staples. And all they are is not me knowing God perfectly, but me, maybe like you, wanting to hear from God and learn how to hear from God. It's a journey, as we know. It's not an arrival. We get to go to heaven. We'll get a new body to receive that glory continuously. You're like, man, that sounds boring. You don't have to sit with God all day long. You won't be able to change the channel. You won't want to change the channel. But if you want to change the channel now, why? Why do I want to change the channel sometimes? Why do I want to change the view of this fountain? Why do I want to stop reading these books and listening to God and going into community with people to talk about God? Why? I'm not sure that I do, but I'm not sure that I'm irritating because people have these other pursuits where they have to clean the house and they want to see what's going on YouTube and catch up with the shopping and all like that. Amazon. They have errands to do. And I'm pretty free from most of that stuff. But can I be with God when I'm taking my son to a tennis lesson? Can I be with God when I'm washing the dishes? I think Brother Lawrence talks about that, and he says, whatever I do, I want to be aware of and responsive to God. I might call it intimately interactive. I often call it intimately interactive. And I want to be intentional, and I want to do it right now, immediately. That's where my 4 eyes came from, right? Immediate, intentional, intimate interaction with God. Is that a deal? Is that a thing? If that's a desire of your heart, There's only one thing to follow it up. If I want to love my neighbor, I don't just sit here. I pull in the garbage cans in the recycle bin when they're not around. Maybe knock on the door and just see how they're doing after they're recovering from some kind of known hospital visit. Maybe it's just as simple as asking how you doing when we're at the pool. What's your name? Where are you from? What street do you live on? What is your social security? Just kidding. But sometimes it's that simple. I do have a book, and I'd be glad to share it with you. You may have to read through some of the fluff, which there's not a lot of fluff other than my music students and my kids. I have some relation to those things in particular because they've been such a big part of my life. But the book is every section focused on the flow, God's glory coming out of the spout, and it's focused on picture of God's glory. Is this the timer is set for 7:21 in the morning for it to come on and 10:21 for it to go off? Who sets your time in the glory, in the flow, and who sets your timer to turn it off? I think you do. And I think if we, in each moment of the day, say, God help me, and seriously say that, at the beginning of my book, my first section said, oh God, because I was going through a tragedy, and this trauma was at my doorstep, and I needed to know how God would have me handle it. It's like, rescue me. I've been a fool, and this is overwhelming me. Would you mind flowing here, God, and causing some change in my heart, in my life, some healing, some direction, some wisdom, some glory flowing. And you're going to hit those points, but when we don't hit those points where there's this deep stress, why don't we desire and get used to God's flow, being under the spout where God's glory comes out, and enjoying Him. The best feelings you can have on earth, from most guys, they would say sex, girls might say to be romantically loved. The best feeling we have here, when we get our new bodies and we're in heaven, we'll be able to receive God's glory in such a manner as to have a better feeling than that. So, I mean, not a little bit better, not barely better, but so much. So why don't we practice that now? Practice God's glory now. Why don't we stay under the spout where God's glory comes out? Amen. Hopefully this has been something that causes you to think. I'd love to have some reaction from you guys, and for you to share, like, this had nothing to do with me, or these are too long, or that's exactly what I was thinking. And I'd like to talk to you about some more, or in conversations with others. God does have a plan for you. See my shirt? I don't know if you can see it, or read it backwards. For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. Plans to prosper you, to give you good things, to know God, and to be able to flow